Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa, and it's an absolute honor to welcome Dr. James Mercer to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So excited to have you.
Thank you.
We have a tendency to run into each other on the red carpet, and today we get to sit and have a great conversation.
We do, which is so much different than the hustle and bustle of being on the carpet.
So let's just say a little bit about what you do. You're an author, motivational speaker, you have a PhD, philanthropist, but what kind of has stuck in my mind is you have adopted 3 children.
I do. I have a 20-year-old, a 16, and a 12.
Wow.
Yes.
That's got to be some good stress.
It's stress. It's a blessing.
Yeah,
it is.
for sure.
I'm proud to be their father.
And I heard that you wanted to adopt another one, but instead you what?
I opened up a foster adoption agency to help so many other people become a parent. I felt as though I could either be selfish and continuously keep bringing them home, which my partner said be normal, bring home a cat, but I would rather do the children. Yeah.
So tell us about what does that look like? What does it do? Like, say I want to adopt a child. How do I do that?
Okay, now, so the first thing you do is you call my beautiful assistant, Alyssa, and then she'll start doing all the paperwork with you. She'll come to your home and be very invasive and ask personal, private questions, and then I get to come prowl through all of your stuff, which is my favorite part of the job because I get to be nosy and see what's what, and then we get to help you facilitate and match you with the best child for your need.
Wow.
And then once we do that, you get the opportunity to become a parent, and that's a gift that a lot of people take for granted. And we get the amazing blessing of continuously giving that beautiful gift.
So I think you hear about a few things. When I hear about adoption, I hear one, it's, and I don't know if this is true, the old, like kind of the stigmas around it. One, it's hard to adopt. You have to be like in a traditional marriage. And then 2, that sometimes you adopt and sometimes the child is, you know, has issues and whatever. And so those are kind of the 2 things I've heard of if there's pros and cons. Obviously there's a lot of pros to having a child that you've adopted. But.
You know, that is very true. And the beautiful part with what we do is there's so many agencies that get to choose what they want to give you. And I know that sounds terrible, but so I grew up in foster care, and I know what it was like to be bounced around from home to home, and I know what it was like to want or have that sense of belonging or that need to feel loved and appreciated. So I don't go, and when I decided to leave the funeral industry and open up my own foster adoption agency, I decided to do so with the mindset of, regardless of who you are, whether you are in an interracial relationship or you're single or you're older or you're rich or you're not, I believe that none of that determines what's going to make you a good parent. I think that what's going to make you a good parent is the love that you have to offer for a child in care. And we have more children in care than we do have individuals that want to step up to the plate. So I'm always available and always willing to talk and help facilitate people. And we do it throughout the United States.
I didn't know that you were in foster care growing up.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I was 7 years old. I remember it very vividly. I was 7 when I was first removed and bounced around a lot. I felt that if I pissed you off enough, you would send me back home to my mother, and that's not how the system works. You have to actually, your parents have to do certain things in order to get you back. And unfortunately, they were unable to do so. They eventually did, but it didn't last, so I ended up back. So at 17, I aged out and found myself homeless, and I was on drugs, and I thought life was great because I was on ecstasy and everything was pretty, so it felt normal. And whenever I hit rock bottom was when I overdosed, and I decided this is where I need to pick myself up and rebuild and restructure and give back to the society and show society that we're not just a quote-unquote throwaway. We are children that matter. We're children that can make a difference, and that's what I did.
Chills.
But I'm still working. I still have a lot to do. So the stress thing, I'm trying to process that with shopping.
That helps a lot.
I'm gonna retail therapy.
Yes.
Well, and you've written this great new book, Secrets and Shame.
Correct. Yes.
Dear Oprah Diaries. Tell us a little bit about that.
So the book wasn't never meant to become a book. What happened was, while I was in foster care, it was just kind of a way to, I didn't want to say my parents are abusing me, or I have no food, or I'm wearing the same clothes, or, you know, sexual abuse is going on. I wanted to keep that private. So I connected with, my dad was very racist, and he would always be like, absolutely no black. But I connected with Oprah, and I felt like every time she would relay a message on TV, I would feel like she was talking to me exclusively. So I would write to Oprah in this memoir or journal about everything that was going on, because I knew I wasn't going to, you know, let the rest of the world know. It's just going to be something between her and I, and it was going to be done. But I was at a funeral directors convention in Chicago, Illinois, and someone came up to me from Simon & Schuster and said, "You should really write a book." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." You know, and I kind of left it alone and just put me back in the embalming room and let me embalm and do my thing. And shortly after, they called and said, "You really need to write a book." And I did, and it's sold over 16,000 copies.
Congratulations.
Every bit of the
Wow,
proceeds go
congratulations.
to our nonprofit to help get suitcases for children in care. It's just a beautiful gift to give back.
Just
Yeah.
incredible. What would you say you've learned in that process?
I learned to appreciate life a lot more, I'll tell you that. I learned to appreciate people no matter what their struggles are. I know that I hang out with a different kind of group that feel like they're better than or society owes them something. I'm more of the hang out with, you know, help the homeless guy on the side of the street and we can get Louboutins later, but right now he's hungry and I'm going to help him. So that, you know, that's just who we are, and that's how I raise my kids. And they are very, very good Jewish girls, and I hope that they stay good.
So working in a funeral home and you did embalming, I mean, I don't know if you know my story, but I had a stillborn, and the day after I gave birth to his body, I went to the mortician's house, and I was like, had that moment, like, here's his body, he's not here, and it had that moment, like, we're not these bodies. What was that like for you? I mean, working around that industry and working and seeing, what did happen? What was your takeaway from
You
all
know, I tell everybody, and that's such a beautiful question, and first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that you
No.
had to go through such
Yeah.
a difficult struggle. But for myself, you know, I was always mistreated. I was the weird gay Jewish kid in school. I was always so skinny, and, you know, I was with foster homes, and I stunk, and I wasn't normal, and I wouldn't stare at people. But it was the fact that through death, I found life. I felt so alive in that funeral home. And knowing that someone's coming in for their last service, and I get to do the hair, and I get to do the makeup and the nails, and I get to make them beautiful for their family and be presentable for an open casket. I think that's what drove me to be so in tune with the funeral industry. So through death, I found life, and I
Same
stand
here.
very firm.
Same here.
Wow, it's so powerful. One of my favorite quotes is by Abraham Hicks, and they always say, the book's going to sound very morbid, but we love when people get terminal diseases.
Yeah.
And said the only reason we love it is because for the first time in their life, they actually live. They really live moment to moment. And so I hear you sort of saying that, but in a more powerful, profound way. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So true. So beautiful. You're such a beautiful spirit.
That means
Thank you
so
so
much.
much for
Thank
all your
you.
work. Thank you for
Means the world to me.
bringing so much light and love to everything. So where can people find you?
So I'm on all platforms of social media, Twitter at James_Mercer_PhD. I might have been on Ambien when I created that. So difficult. A lot of underscore back in the 8th grade, you know. And then on Twitter is at Dr. James Mercer, and of course Facebook at Dr. James Mercer as well.
And where can they buy the book?
They can buy the book at, I always recommend Amazon, because Amazon gives back to us. They really do. Anytime a book's sold, they do something for us, and that's amazing. So you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, at your local Barnes & Noble. So yeah.
You are such a light.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
you.
And I hope our paths keep crossing on that red carpet.
Me too. we look very good together.
We did this
Tonight
well
I will
together.
be at the Emmys, which I'm super excited for, because The Real Housewives of Dallas is the only franchise that has been nominated for a casting. So we're the only ones, and so I get a privilege to be a part of that. And tonight we're going, and I have the most amazing outfits.
Oh my
so
Oh, I
gosh.
can't
And best
wait.
of luck
with that.
I can't wait. Oh, we'll stay tuned. We'll be back with more. And good morning, La La Land.